I wanted to talk to you all about relationships and how many of our relationships are going downhill and the reason as to why these relationships are going down here. And I'll speak from a personal experience. Okay, I'll get a little personal with you all in reference to how I perceived a relationship or the relationships that I've been in my past. Okay, and how things went. I've experienced a lot of things growing up as a child, and unfortunately, I attracted what it was that I experienced. So I found myself in relationships with people who were not as loving, as kind. They were at first, and then they would switch up. Okay, so with that, I also found that there were a lot of things that I learned from those relationships, and where things would happen and occur within a relationship where I would completely find myself shutting down, and I didn't know why I was shut down in the instance of the relationship, or I would feel as if I was being too sensitive about certain things that were happening to me in the relationship. And there were things that I did that were not okay in relationships as well, and that may have triggered the individual that I was with at that particular time too. So I found myself in a place where there would be issues that I went through when I was a child, and these things would come up, like the same emotions that I felt. And later I realized that I was actually dating my mom. Those were the kind of men that was attracting. Okay, so there was a pattern that I noticed that I was experiencing as a child when it came to my mom. Now, my mom was she was good when it came to things such as the material aspect. So there were a lot of material things that my mom, she inquired to get for us as children. We didn't like things such as like material things. She fed us, but emotionally, my mom was emotionally unavailable. She was emotionally okay. So she was not in tune with the way that she felt about things. She did not have a healthy way of communicating. So it left us, okay, myself per se, because I was known as the sensitive child, but then I was also known as the black sheep of the family, okay? So I'm gonna let this. So there were instances in those relationships where I would find myself shutting down because of the fact that I felt these old emotions coming up. So some of the emotions that would make me feel a specific way was things that my mother would do that would make me feel specific ways, okay? And things also that my mother would do that an individual would not do for me, okay? And then I would think to myself, like, okay, this is what my representation of love was. And though I wasn't the kind of person, like I said before, my mother did things such as she bought me a lot of things as a kid. She bought me and my brothers. She would take us shopping every weekend. Okay, we would go shopping, and this was something that my mother saw as her love language. Okay, because when my mom she grew up less fortunate. Okay, and my mom saw material things as love, and she still does to this day. My mom is in love with material things, okay? And she has pretty good taste in different things like that. So we were always up to par when it came to dressing, okay? And I could be going through whatever it is that I'm going through. I can be going through a tornado. I can go through a storm, and I will come out dressed because that is the way that I was raised up to be, okay? To always look presentable when I am going out. So, you know, um, emotions that I honestly wasn't equipped enough to deal with at that time because I was at a place where I just felt that love would fill the void that I had within myself, and I found myself at a place where I had the family and I had this dynamic of what it would look like to have a family. And though I had that, I knew that it was unhealthy, and I knew that I was unhealthy at that time. That there were things that I was struggling with, and a lot of us don't like to admit it as women that we play a role in many of the relationships that we've been in our past. And regardless of the fact that, we may not have been the abuser in the relationship, but we played a role far as allowing ourselves to attract specific people due to the fact that we did now take the time out to heal ourselves. Some of us were at an age that we didn't know much about healing, okay? And it took some kind of breaking point for you to be forced into healing, or you made an option and a decision to do it for yourself. And I commend you all who actually had the courage to do it yourself, okay? Because it was really tough for myself to get the necessary insight on what it was that I was experiencing at that particular time in my life. I do not plan to be, alone forever, even if it's a companion such as a pet or a friend or, whatever is in store for me. My main focus right now is to do the things that God has called me to do, okay? To give back and to help those who have been through similar things that I've been through in my life, and to be a support system, to those who may need support, and also to allow others to give me support, to pour into me as well, because you guys have qualities about yourself and attributes about yourself that can definitely pour into me. So when it comes to the relational aspect of my conversation with you all, is that when I began to heal and began to acknowledge the things about my self that I loved about myself, I will not find myself in a state of any relationship that I have an encounter with that I'm going to push back on the things that I actually love about myself. Okay, so I'm not going to allow anyone to enter into my space and to disrupt what it is, the process of how, I have gained so much and how I feel about myself.